So not to date myself, although I did that last week at the birthday and anniversary blessings by mentioning that I finally did receive an application for AARP, but that's for another time. Growing up, I remember a time before personal computers. I remember a time with rotary phones. Yes, I remember rotary phones. And I remember when my family got its first personal computer, the Apple IIe. I remember in college the big creation of the technology of electronic mail, or as we call it today, email, whereby you could send something out into the ether and eventually get a response. Never in my wildest dreams did I ever envision becoming tethered to email. But again, story for another day. And I remember in rabbinic school at HUC JIR in Israel, back when only some of us had laptops, but we had a computer lab. And so we would go into the computer lab in the afternoon after classes and do the serious work of playing chess with each other in the computer lab, much to the chagrin of our classmates who wanted to do actual work. I mention that because I remember a time before the advent of social media, like many of you. I remember a time where you could just go about your day and just be out and be content and be at peace. I remember a time where you weren't scrolling through TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, or I still call it Twitter, and I will still call it Twitter, just like it's the Tappan Zee Bridge as far as I'm concerned. And you would go through these social media and you'd see, wonderful posts from family and friends of birthdays and simchas and mazel tovs. You'd see hilarious cat videos and adorable baby videos and pictures. And life is beautiful until you see that one post, that one video, that one statement that just completely throws you off. I mean, it's sort of like you're going about your day and everything is good, and then you hear about a commencement speech from a Chiefs kicker. And it's just something that it just derails you. It causes whiplash. It's like if you're walking down the hall and you bump into the door with your elbow and there's just that sharp pain, and yeah, you get over it relatively quickly, hopefully, but yet your day is a little off kilter. And I was thinking about that for tonight, because tonight we are starting reading from Parashat Iyyar. Actually, we'll be doing it this Shabbat, and Iyyar comes to us after Acharei Mot and Kiddushim. Acharei Mot and Kiddushim are what we know as the Holiness Code. This is a part of Leviticus, the heart of Leviticus, the heart of the Torah, where it's all about how we are supposed to create a just and righteous society, because if God is holy, we should strive to be holy like God through our actions, not just how we relate to God, but how we treat one another. There are words in there like, don't place a stumbling block before the blind, pay a laborer their wages at the end of the day, and so on and so forth. Lots of little things, not necessarily great high aspirational ideas and ideals like the Torah, like the Ten Commandments, but just everything ideas and ideals we can do to make the world just a little bit better. Like saying good morning to a coworker, smiling at someone, which I learned you can do here in Nebraska, not so much in New York. Being kind to someone preparing your coffee and waving at someone you know. Creating a little bit more lightness, a little bit more sacredness, a little bit more joy in the world. And yet, we have these experiences that throw us off. So we go from the idea of the Holiness Code, and immediately we jump back into Iyyar, which takes us back to the beginning of Leviticus, back into the words of what Leviticus is mostly about, which is a priestly handbook. It's about the rules and the expectations and the rights and the obligations of the Levites, about how they're supposed to dress in certain ways, how they are not supposed to shave their heads, the obligations. And it seems almost jarring to say we've gone from the sacrifices to the holiness code to the Levites. And how are we supposed to make sense of it? How are we supposed to engage with the world when constantly we are being undermined by these experiences that jolt us out of this sense of contentment, this sense of peace, this sense of meaning? I would argue the Torah is actually giving us a guidepost and insight in how to do that. And I was inspired by the words of one of my colleagues, Rabbi Seth Goldstein, who was teaching from Bereshit Rabbah, one of the Midrashic texts from Bereshit Rabbah 24/7. For in there, it is argued that what is the most important lesson of the Torah? And many rabbis, like Rabbi Akiva, have argued the most important lesson, love your neighbor as yourself. Or as Hillel taught, that which is hateful to you, do not do unto others. All the rest is commentary. But Ben Azai, another rabbi, says, no, that is not the most important lesson of Torah. The most important lesson actually comes to us from Bereshit, from Genesis. It says, Sefer Toldot Adam. This is the book of the generations of Adam. And you might think, well, that's not really a commandment. That's just a statement. How are we supposed to make sense of that? And the way Rabbi Goldstein goes on to argue and to articulate, like we find in the Talmud, is the challenge with love your neighbor as yourself is it's not so hard to love your neighbor. Because your neighbor, at least theoretically, you know. It's someone you're in relationship with. It's someone you're in proximity with. It's someone you're in dialogue with. But what Ben Azai is arguing, Zeh Sefer Toldot Adam, this is the book of the generations of Adam, is so much harder. Because what it's saying is that we are not just in relationship with our neighbors, but we are in relationship with all of humanity. We are all related. We are all interconnected. We are all created b'tselem Elohim. We are all created in the image of God. And within this framework, I think we're beginning to find the key to how to transition between those moments of shock and surprise, those moments that take us out of where we want to be. And especially in the world of social media, where you can find, and I'm just going to use this as a frame when it comes to what's going on in the Middle East, you'll find people posting and stating at their core, denying each other's history, denying each other's claim to the land, denying the right for even people to exist. And it's hard to come back from those experiences because they are so upsetting, they are so distressing, they are so hurtful. It says, Sefer Toldot Adam. This is the book of generations of Adam. What the Torah is reminding us, what the Midrash is reminding us, is that when we have these experiences, we need to get out of the realm of social media, out of the realm of computers, out of the realm of books, and go out into the world. We need to re-engage, or at least engage, with our fellow human beings. I was watching The Daily Show recently with Jon Stewart. He's back on Mondays, except when he's on Thursdays. And the question was posed to him, when you watch so much distressing news, how do you not let it overwhelm you? And to paraphrase what he said basically, what I do is rather than wallow in sorrow, in fear, and hurt, I go out and I talk to people. For when I talk to people, panim el panim, he didn't use that word, I'm using that phrase. When I talk to people, panim el panim, face to face, I see the humanity in their eyes. I see the humanity in their souls. And so when the Torah presents us with this sense of whiplash, when we jump outside of the holiness code and back into the handbook of the priests, it's reminding us that life is messy, life is complicated. Life does not work on a straight line, and there will be moments that are jarring. There will be moments that are upsetting. There will be moments that invite us to shut down, turn off, and go and hide. But we shouldn't take those opportunities. Instead, we should take the opportunities to remind ourselves, says Sefer Toldot B'nai Adam, this is a book of the generations of Adam. This is the book of creation. This is the reminder that we are all interconnected, that we have much more in common with each other than we think. In that if we just let the monologues of the people on media, social media, wherever, or the singular diatribes of folks who are looking at the world through a binary, that's not the reality of where most people are. Most people are living in the complexities of the world, and most people are craving connection and understanding and relationship. And so our Torah is inviting us to do the very same, not just to love our neighbors as ourselves, but to see ourselves in every person we encounter. And if we are able to do that, we will be able to bring that beauty of holiness that our Torah teaches so much about into the world. And if we can bring more holiness into the world, then God willing, one day, we can also bring more peace into the world. Shabbat Shalom.